The 2019 season inching ever so close as we count down here on Friday Night Rivals here in Wake Forest, North Carolina. Trent-Tenney Stadium is the scene here tonight as Wake Forest takes on Cardinal Gibbons here in the opening matchup of the year. Good evening, everybody. My broadcast partner is Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks. Aaron, Wake Forest enters this matchup 45 consecutive wins, the third longest stretch in the country. How have they been able to do this under head coach Reggie Lucas?
Reggie Lucas has been there for almost a decade. He has a well-oiled machine going over there. The Cougars come in every season. They play until December. They know what the coaching staff expects out of them. They put in the work, and it's just kind of normal for them to come in and execute the way that they have.
Last loss for Wake Forest was November of 2015, if that tells you anything about how impressive that streak is. Aaron, let's take a deeper look into this matchup, starting with Wake Forest. Who do we need to look out for?
Well, for the second year in a row, Wake Forest has a new quarterback. They have Noah Douglas, who will be behind center now. He just joined the team this summer, so he's coming in as a senior, has the summer that he has under his belt with the team. Coach Lucas said that he is really big. He's strong, and he will add a new dynamic to their team.
Take a look at Cardinal Gibbons. They're coming off a 10-2 season last year. They're no slouch. They're going to be ready for this one. Who should we look out for in that one?
Cardinal Gibbons, they had a guy that's been there at QB for 4 years in Nick Frey. He came in last season and had over 3,000 yards in the air, nearly 20 touchdowns. And he was the second leading rusher on the team, so that's going to be the spot that they need to fill. They have an incoming quarterback, Andrew Harvey, who played a couple games as backup last year, but it's going to be interesting to see right out of the gate how both of the quarterbacks do.
We'll see how it all turns out. Kickoff between Wake Forest and Cardinal Gibbons coming up next on Friday Night Rivals. Friday Night Rivals presents the opening matchup of the 2019 season as Wake Forest host Cardinal Gibbons live from Trent-Tenney Stadium here in Wake Forest, North Carolina. Good evening, everybody. My broadcast partner tonight is Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks. And Aaron, the buildup has been really big coming into this week. What is the team's mindsets, both these teams' mindset entering this one?
Wake Forest has won 45 consecutive games. That's in the back of their mind, and Coach Lucas said that it's really important for them just to focus on things one game at a time. For Cardinal Gibbons, they won the past 2 conference titles in the Cap 7. They went 12-0 in conference play last year, so this first game for both teams is really important to set the tone for the rest of the season.
You talk about Wake Forest with the third longest winning streak in the country. How has Reggie Lucas done that?
Reggie Lucas and his staff have been there for nearly a decade. They've come in, they've implemented the way they like to do things, and the student athletes, they understand what is expected of them every season. They put in the work, they listen to their coaches, and it's bred this type of success.
Let's take a deeper look at the matchup as far as players to watch for Wake Forest. Running back McQuell Haywood, 1,200 yards last year. How is he going to affect this ball game tonight?
He is going to be really important. With a new quarterback in their offensive system, he needs to carry the load, come in and establish his presence early in the game. Give the quarterback somebody to rely on.
Cardinal Gibbons has a dynamic running back in Ethan Webb, over 1,500 yards last season, all-purpose yards. What's he going to do for that Gibbons offense?
Webb is a dual threat, receiver and running back. He can kind of attack you in either way, so that's difficult for a defense. And the Wake Forest defense is extremely young this season, while it's something that they're usually very good at. Coach Lucas said that the Cougars' defense is behind their offense right now, so if Cardinal Gibbons can come in and attack them, then they might have a lot of early success in this ball game.
We'll see if that's going to be the case here in this one. We've got kickoff between Cardinal Gibbons and Wake Forest coming up live on Friday Night Rivals. Trent-Tenney Stadium here in Wake Forest, North Carolina is the site for the season opening matchup here on Friday Night Rivals as Wake Forest puts their 45-game winning streak on the line, hosting Cardinal Gibbons. Good evening, everybody. My broadcast partner here tonight is Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks. Aaron, the third longest winning streak in the country is held by Wake Forest. How has head coach Reggie Lucas been able to do this?
It is an impressive 45-game win streak. Dates back to 2015. Coach Lucas and his staff have been there for nearly a decade. They've come in, they've implemented the way that they like to do things, and the student athletes have responded. They know what's expected of them every year. They come in, they work hard, they listen to their coaching staff, and they come ready to play on Friday night.
Looking at the matchup as far as players to watch, with 36 seniors leaving the team last year off their state championship squad, running back McQuell Haywood had 1,200-plus yards last year. How will he affect this matchup here tonight?
Haywood's going to be a key player in tonight's matchup because they have such a young offense and they have a new quarterback behind center in Noah Douglas. He just joined the team this summer. He's trying to build that chemistry, so he needs to have Haywood there ready to go, ready to make the big plays, be somebody that he can rely on the offensive side of the ball.
Cardinal Gibbons also having to replace 25 seniors from last year's 10-2 team, but they got Ethan Webb back, one of the top running backs in all of Wake County, over 1,500 yards total offense. How will he help out Stephen Wright's offense?
Same thing for the Crusaders. They have a new quarterback, somebody that has to replace Nick Frey, who came in last year, threw over 1,000 yards, nearly 20 touchdowns through the air. It's going to be Andrew Harvey now, who's going to be quarterbacking for Cardinal Gibbons. To have somebody like Ethan Webb, who is a dual threat, who can pass and who can run, is going to be a huge advantage for Cardinal Gibbons.
We'll see how it all shakes out. Kickoff between Cardinal Gibbons and Wake Forest coming up next on Friday Night Rivals. Trent-Tenney Stadium here in Wake Forest, North Carolina is the scene for tonight's season opening matchup here on Friday Night Rivals as Wake Forest takes on Cardinal Gibbons. Good evening, everybody. My broadcast partner is Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks. Aaron, Wake Forest enters this matchup with the third longest winning streak in the country at 45 consecutive games. How has head coach Reggie Lucas been able to do that?
It has been an impressive run. Coach Lucas and his staff have been there for nearly a decade. Coach Lucas has established the way that he likes to do things. They have the routine down. The student athletes, they come in knowing what is expected of them. They put in the hard work. They listen, and they show up on Friday night ready to play.
Both these teams lost a lot. As far as seniors go, Aaron, how are each of these teams, these coaching staffs, approaching this matchup?
Wake Forest did lose 36 seniors from last year's squad. They're young on both sides of the ball. They have a new quarterback, and they're not as good defensively as we're used to seeing from Wake Forest. Right now, Coach Lucas said that it's actually their offense that is ahead of their defense right now, so they really need to make sure their offense gets off to a good start. For Cardinal Gibbons, they also have a new quarterback. Andrew Harvey has to come in and replace someone in Nick Frey, who had over 3,000 yards in the air, nearly 20 touchdowns, and then he was also the second leading rusher on the team. Big shoes to fill. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes in and is able to establish their offense.
Let's take a look at the players to watch in this one, Aaron, starting with Wake Forest running back McQuell Haywood, over 1,200 yards last year. How is he going to affect tonight's matchup?
Haywood is going to be a huge asset for quarterback Douglas because Douglas needs somebody that he can rely on who has experience and has a good ability to manipulate the line and break away like Haywood does.
For Cardinal Gibbons, Ethan Webb comes back after 1,500-plus yards out of the backfield. How will he, in that triple option, get this going for Cardinal Gibbons?
Andrew Harvey will have a great option with Ethan Webb because Ethan Webb, he's dual threat. He can run, he can catch, he can score. I mean, he's great downfield, so he's a great option for their new quarterback. Should be a good safety net for him. Friday
Night Rivals presents tonight's matchup between Wake Forest and Cardinal Gibbons. Football season is here as the 2019 season moments away from kicking off. Friday Night Rivals here from Trent-Tenney Stadium in Wake Forest, North Carolina presents Wake Forest against Cardinal Gibbons. Good evening, everybody. Joined alongside my broadcast partner, Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks. And Aaron, Wake Forest has the third longest winning streak in the country at 45 games. Head coach Reggie Lucas, how has he been able to do this?
Coach Lucas has been there with his coaching staff for nearly a decade. It's a well-oiled machine over there. He's come in, he's established the way he likes to do things. The student athletes know what is expected of them year in and year out. They put in the work in the off season. They listen to their coaching staff and they adjust how they need to from game to game, week to week, and show up ready to play on Friday night.
Their matchup tonight against Cardinal Gibbons. Cardinal Gibbons, a team, they did lose 25 seniors from last year's team that went 10-2, winning the Cap 7. Head coach Stephen Wright, what is his mindset coming into this one?
The big issue for Cardinal Gibbons that they're going to have to focus on is that quarterback position, because they lost so much offensive production in quarterback Nick Frey, who graduated last season. He had over 3,000 yards through the air, almost 20 touchdowns just in last season alone, and he was the second leading rusher on the team. Big shoes for quarterback Andrew Harvey to come in and have to fill.
Taking a deeper look at the matchup, players to watch starting with Wake Forest. McQuell Haywood, over 1,200 yards rushing last year. How is he going to affect this matchup here tonight?
The supporting cast is going to be huge for both teams tonight with the new quarterbacks under center. Haywood is going to be somebody that Douglas needs to have available whenever he might be in a jam, somebody he can rely on to get things going, kind of somebody that's been in there, has experience, and has had a lot of success.
Cardinal Gibbons, leading returning offensive player, running back Ethan Webb. He's a guy that can get it in every position. How is his versatility a big key tonight?
Hey, you said it. Ethan Webb, he's dual threat. He can run and he can catch. So no matter what happens, he's an option, and he's a good option. Obviously, he's had a lot of success in the past few seasons coming into his junior campaign. They're expecting really big things out of him this year.
The fans are ready. We're ready. We hope you're ready. Friday Night Rivals, Wake Forest, Cardinal Gibbons coming up next. Trent-Tenney Stadium here in Wake Forest, North Carolina is the scene for the season opening matchup here on Friday Night Rivals as the Wake Forest Cougars in their 45-game win streak get set to take on the Crusaders of Cardinal Gibbons. Good evening, everybody. My broadcast partner here tonight is Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks, and Aaron, head coach Reggie Lucas in that 45-game win streak. How has he been able to establish that success here at Wake Forest?
Coach Lucas and his coaching staff, they've been there for nearly a decade. They've come in, they've implemented their routine, what they like of their players, and kind of how they play. So the players, they show up, they know what's expected of them, they put in the work that's needed, they listen to their coaches, they get the game plans ready to go on Friday night.
Let's look at this matchup as far as players to watch. With all the turnover that both teams have had, Wake Forest losing 36 seniors. Offensively, McQuell Haywood, who had over 1,200 yards last year, he's going to be a big key. What's made him so successful under Reggie Lucas?
He's been somebody that the Cougars can rely on offensively. They've had two new quarterbacks the last two seasons. Haywood, he's been constant, and he has been very effective on the ground. He's very quick, and he's been somebody that they're going to need to get going early in tonight's ball game in order for the Cougars to have that offensive success.
On the other side of the ball, in regards to Cardinal Gibbons and their offense, they did lose a lot. You look at Ethan Webb, over 1,500 yards total offense last year, tops in the Cap 7. How will he affect the matchup tonight?
The Crusaders, they're also under a new quarterback system this year in Andrew Harvey, who comes in to replace Nick Frey. Nick Frey, someone that was there for so many years. He's had so much success. Harvey needs somebody that he can rely on to throw the ball to and hand it off to, because that is exactly what Ethan Webb can do. He can do it all. He can run and he can catch. Good dual threat option for their new quarterback.
We'll see if all the questions will get answered here tonight. Wake Forest and Cardinal Gibbons coming up next on Friday Night Rivals. Countdown to the 2019 season is almost over here on Friday Night Rivals as the season opening matchup pits the Wake Forest Cougars against the Crusaders of Cardinal Gibbons. Hello, everybody, as we come to you live from Trent-Tenney Stadium here in Wake Forest, North Carolina. Join alongside my broadcast partner, Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks. Aaron, that 45-game winning streak that Wake Forest enters the contest with, third longest in the country. How has Reggie Lucas been able to establish that success?
Reggie Lucas and his staff have been there for over a decade. That type of constant leadership gives an ability for the players to know what to expect every season. They know what workouts are going to look like. They know what the summer workouts, scrimmages, 7-on-7s are going to be. They know what is expected of them, and they show up, they do the work, and they're ready to go every Friday night.
Cardinal Gibbons enters the matchup coming off a 10-2 season. They also have a lot of questions to answer in this one. When you talked to head coach Stephen Wright, what were some of his mindsets and some of his concerns entering this one?
Head coach Stephen Wright has a new quarterback for the first time in 4 years. Andrew Harvey is coming in to replace Nick Frey, who graduated last season. Frey had over 3,000 yards through the air, nearly 20 touchdowns, and was the second leading rusher on the team. Those are big shoes to fill. A concern for Wright, making sure that they're going to have somebody that can step in and be ready to go tonight.
Both teams have a lot of questions to be answered here tonight. We'll have them all for you. Wake Forest, Cardinal Gibbons coming up next on Friday Night Rivals. Trent Stadium here in Wake Forest, North Carolina is the scene for the season opening matchup here on Friday Night Rivals. Wake Forest taking on Cardinal Gibbons. Good evening, everybody. Join alongside my broadcast partner, Aaron Summers. I'm Chris Hooks. Aaron, Wake Forest entering this matchup with the third longest winning streak in the country at 45 games. How has Reggie Lucas, the head coach, been able to establish that success?
Coach Lucas and his staff have been there together for nearly a decade. That kind of continuity is huge. Those student athletes at Wake Forest know what is expected of them. They know what Lucas likes as far as schemes go, offense, defense, the type of work he expects on a daily basis, and they show up ready to play on Friday night.
Both teams combined to lose 61 seniors last year. Aaron, let's look at the matchup as far as players to watch, starting with Wake Forest running back McQuail Haywood, 1,200-plus yards last year. How is he going to affect this matchup here tonight?
With an extremely young Wake Forest squad, they need somebody that they can rely on. Haywood is that cog for them offensively. He's had a lot of success over the past several seasons, and somebody that their new quarterback, Douglas, can rely on in order to kind of develop some chemistry early on in the season and know that somebody is out there that he can count on to deliver.
For Cardinal Gibbons, they have Ethan Webb in the backfield at running back, returning over 1,500 yards last year, which led the Caps 7. What's Coach Stephen Wright's mindset as far as getting him the ball early?
Ethan Webb is somebody that's going to be out there ready, whether it's handing the ball off or chucking it through the air. He's ready for those deep passes. He's showed a lot of ability as a running back and as a wide receiver. So that sets off their new quarterback, Andrew Harvey, with a really good option offensively.
We're just about set to start the 2019 season. We're glad you're here with us. We'll have it all for you. Wake Forest, Cardinal Gibbons coming up next on Friday Night Rivals.